So that actually leads me to my next question. I'm assuming that you saw the Conor McGregor Dustin Poirier fight in January, right?
Yeah, of course. I was doing the French commentator on it.
On LDS, Réseau de Sport, right,
Yes.
in Quebec. And a lot of talk after that fight was about Conor switching his stance and having a more traditional boxing stance as opposed to his old karate style stance where he had a lot of movement and he was, very light on his feet. Did you notice that? And did you think that led to him losing the fight?
It could have been a big factor why he lost that fight. I know he talks about how he got hurt with that calf kick. And when you're in a boxing stance, very often your weight, your leg or your stance is wider, and a lot of your weight is put on the lead leg, which make you very vulnerable for those leg kicks, And that could have been a big factor. And don't forget also that a lot of the athletes are impacted by COVID, like for example, like me in Canada, even if I would want to train for a fight, it's illegal. We cannot even train. I would have to move away. So I don't know how COVID has impacted Conor McGregor's camp. I don't know how it is in Ireland, did he have to modify the way he was training because of the COVID rules? Did he do more boxing? And that's perhaps what made him not perform as good. But we talk about Conor, but let's talk about also Dustin Poirier. Poirier did an amazing, let's not take away the performance of Dustin Poirier. It was amazing. He deserved the win,
I agree.
Like sometimes we have the tendency when someone is so dominant to only talk about how he didn't look the same. And we see that very often, like also with Israel Adesanya and Blahovic. Blahovic in that fight, same thing. He surprised me. He showed how good he was. Like I was not expecting to see. I didn't know how good he was. You know what I mean? Same thing with Dustin Poirier. I didn't know how good he was.
Yeah. No, and I didn't mean to ask you about Conor so soon, but something that has been said about him that I wanted to ask about you and to you was, Marvin Hagler, who unfortunately just passed away this weekend, had a famous quote where he said, "It's very hard to wake up in the morning when you're sleeping in satin sheets," meaning, when you're rich and famous, it's hard to go run at 5 a.m. And, this has been said of Conor, oh, he's so rich now, he's so famous. Does he have that motivation like he did 6-7 years ago when he had no monies to his name? Did you ever struggle with that when you started to become, I'm looking behind you, there's the Rogers Center in Toronto, 55,000 people. When you were at your height, did you ever feel like you were lacking motivation because now the bank account was bigger and you were a lot more famous?
So when I made my first million, of course, my life has changed. I had more security, and I didn't feel that I was fighting for the same reason that I was in the beginning in terms of security. When I was poor in the beginning, I was on the edge. I knew if I lost, I would have been deaf, and my life would be a mess. When you get money, these things change. However, to keep performing, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You cannot stay in your comfort zone during a training camp because you're trying to recreate the same element that you will face for a fight. And when you're gonna fight, you won't be in your comfort zone. So it is imperative that Conor, if you want to get back on the road of success, he need to get out of his comfort zone. He need not to be the boss of his training camp. He need his coaches to tell him, like, now you're going to spar this guy, you're going to go there, do this. Even if it doesn't please him, he need to go through that. Because if you stay in your comfort zone, the only thing that can happen is you will go down. You need to do that.